his computer. Is he really breaks down all these different cases in many ways. But so I just wanted to, but he also does a really, I don't know about nice, he does an interesting job at looking at the Dioraita Derabanan thing about Bal Korcha. So I wanted to look at that. So here we go. Let's dive in, and maybe I'll start today. Why not? If that's okay with people, and we'll go around. Okay. The Arocha Shulchan with an aleph. I like that, Yavni. So okay. Katav Rambam Zal Reish Perak Dalid Ein Haisha Mikadeshet Ela Litzona V'Makadesh Isha Bal Korcha Ina Mekudeshet Aval Ish Shiansuhu Ad Shekidesh Bal Korcho Harize Mekudeshet Ad Kan Lashano. Right, this is, we saw this in the Rambam. This the second part, the Seifa there. There's to be a machloket about. V'tam hadvarim de'afagav de'miltav de'pshita de'kiddushin tzarich liot meratzon bein mi'aish dichtiv ki kach ish isha v'gam mitzad ha'isha ba'inan midata sherei ba'inan data makneh, right, or in makna in this case maknet v'hi makna etatzma lo, right, so she's she's giving herself over to him, right, in this purchase, so that requires dat. V'chein kativ v'halcha v'haital ish acher midata. This is the Rashi, right, based on that pasuk we saw, that she goes to. She's actively going. That's the way Rav Nachum understood it, which I kind of like. Mashma, here he quotes the Rashi. Midata mashma, it means midata. Mikol makom. כמו דבמקח וממכר, שצריך להיות מרצון המוכר והקונה, ואם כל זה, קיימלן שאם אנסו לאיש למכור שדהו, וקיבל דמי השדה בעצמו, או שאמר רוצה אני, המכר קיים. Right? כמו שכתב בחושן משפט, etc., somewhere in Choshen Mishpat. This is going to be an interesting interaction between Choshen Mishpat and Evan as are going on here. So we saw that Gemara in Bava Batra, right? That if you hang the person up and say sell, you sell, even though l'chadchila you do require dat, or maybe even b'diavad you require dat, but you can force the dat, shall we say, or force the ratzon. Right? If he doesn't give a moda'ah would be like he gets to Eidim to say, hey, I'm doing this under duress, and let's write a star out that this purchase is under duress, and then you can later go to the Beit Din and say, I didn't really want to sell this. This is the whole, right? If people know the sugya about God, Hashem held the mountain key, the har kigigit over our heads, right? And it's moda'ah rabbah. Right, this is a great. Actually, I don't know what the English word is for moda, but it's a protest essentially, but an official legal protest against sale. Okay. Uvulozeh amrinan de'agav onse gamaru makne. Right. So even if you don't actually file a moda, right, then if you're forced, you say that you've made up your mind and you've actually sold it. Kevan shikibel ma'ot. Right. So hachanami ishazo shehi. כמוכרת עצמה לו, אם אנסוה שתתקדש לזה, וקיבלה מעות הקידושים בעצמה, או שאר מין קידושים, כשאמרה רוצה אני, אמרינן דאגב אונסה, גמרה ומקנאה נפשה, right? ונקרא זה רצון. So that would be ratzon. Right? This is all, this whole his Doraita version here. Afalgav, shaya al yedei ones. V'afagav detama demecher nitba'er sham. All right. Delachen gamara makna mipnei shekibel maot. All right. So I'm not actually sure what he means by this line here, right? But I think it's like the reason that the sale was because she was forced to do it, and not really that she wanted it, So, okay. V'im ken. B'kiddushay shtar uvia halo ena mekabelet klum v'have kemo matana delo kana, right? But there, right, if there's no actual in shtar and bia, that actually doesn't count, right? Kemo shekatav katuv sham v'gam b'kiddushay kesef tenach keshekitsha b'mamon harbe aval kitsha b'pruta hari lo shayach lomar demishum maot hiknita, right? Etatzma. right? So you can say, yes. So, in the reasons that, why does this work? Because the person needed the money, even though they really want to do it, they needed the money. And so that works for Kinyan Kesef, but it doesn't work for any of the other Kinyanim, because then what's she getting out of it? A star? Big deal.
I think what it's saying, Avava Kumu is referring back to it's saying like you can force someone to sell, but you can't force someone to give you something. If you string someone up and say, give me the land, then it doesn't count. Then it didn't count. Is that what it's saying?
Sorry, is
that what you said?
No, it's in those cases that it's matana, right?
Right.
Dilo kana.
So right. Sorry. Right.
So,
yeah.
And so therefore,
but what is the actual matana in that case? In shtar, the matana is like the physical shtar.
No, she's the matana.
Yeah.
She herself is the matana, and she's giving.
Yeah,
giving herself, and in exchange she gets nothing, i.e. a piece of paper.
Exactly. Yes, and so therefore it's not really kinyan kiddushin in that case, I think. So
right.
Okay. It works in kiddushay kesef, right? If she actually gets real money, but if for just a pruta, right? You can't say she did it for the money, right? Then it's clearly right. The mishum hamot hiknita etatzma lo omnam. However, ha'emet debekishin have kekabalat ma'ot sharei mitchayev et atzma b'she'erak sutavanata. But wait, no, hold on. She gets like the benefits of being married. She gets her clothing and her food and sex provided to her. So ve'od, and then we're gonna get this, which I was like shocked we hadn't seen this yet anywhere. Although apparently it's in the Tosfot and Bava Batra, so I need to look back there. The itata beholdehu nechala the tav lemetav tandu. Right, it's better for her to be married than to sit on her own. This is a principle in the Gemara, and therefore she gets the benefit of not being single anymore. All right. I just want to name all the difficulties of it, and then we'll move on from it. But v'lachen have kemecher. So there, no, it does work. V'chein be'ansuhu liknot sadeh. Sfira lehu le'ra. Sfira le'rambam. De'amekach kiem keshamar rotzeani. Right. The Rambam says as long as you say rotzeani, it works for a field. V'kal v'chomer mimichirat sadeh. Right. And all the more so when we force someone to sell a sadeh. Deha tov le'adam liknot limkor. It's better for a person to purchase than to sell. Right. So I'm not sure where that comes from. I thought it was kind of an interesting principle, but
why is it relevant here?
That's why he gets the kal v'chomer.
And snu liknot. Got it.
Yeah. So it's but v'chein ke'ansuhu lekadesh havek kiniyat sadeh. The sadeh thing keeps coming back to us. I didn't mention this in the class, right? But the whole comparison of a woman and a sadeh is like throughout the entire kind of paradigm of Even HaEzer and Masach Kiddushin as well. Right? So like this is for the guy, right? When they force him, right? That's like buying a sadeh. And when he's willing to say the words, Haret Mekudeshali, it's like he's saying, I want to actually do this, even though we forced him to say that at the end of the day. V'kiddushav kiddushin midina. All right. V'zeh domeh lekinyan sadeh sheneneh me'aperot. Ve'achanami neneh mimena sharei hi meshuabedet l'machto u'ma'amid zera mimena ve'af shemitchayev v'minasnotea mikol makom tovata merubeh mehotzata. It's better to when she's in the marriage than sending her out. So v'harei gamal sadeh yesh hotzah. So either hotzah could be just the benefits that you get from it there. Actually, I think so.
Right? Is that talking about the field still?
No. The hotzah is the perut that she produces. Sorry, that she produces.
She the field or she the wife?
Both. So in both cases, you get the benefit of her production, of the field production or her production. So this is why on both sides, right, it would say from the deen of Torah, it would be beneficial, and therefore people can be forced into marriage. That's all. This is the very problematic part. I'm just going to throw it out there, and then good, Yavni, now you can receive that. And
וזהו בדינה. אבל חכמים תקנו כשאנס אישה לקבל קידושין, אף כאין הוא רבנן לקידושין מיני, כיוון שעשה שלא כהוגן. And so that's all midin, but the chachamim made a takana that if you force a woman to accept the kiddushin, then they uproot the kiddushin.
Exactly.
because the people who forced her did not do according to what is right.
This, by the way, can I bracket that for a second? Or I was thinking about, there's like so many places where the law, this happens not just in Judaism, in all legal systems, where there's like the law permits something, but it surely feels unethical, right? And I think this is the Chazal coming in and be like, we can't allow that. That's not an appropriate way for a marriage to start, or that feels wrong. And maybe it's okay for a mecher, but like for a marriage that's like, you're gonna be stuck with somebody you were forced to marry, that just doesn't feel right. And so they actually come in and make a fix. So
אבל כשאנסו הוא לקדש, והיא עשתה שלא כהוגן, סבירה לי לרמב"ם, דלא אף כאין הוא רבנן לקידושין, שלא הוצרכו לכך, שהרי יכול לגרשה בעל כורחה, ואם אינו חפץ בה יגרשנה. Should I translate or?
I'm pretty good with this.
אבל היא שאין ביכולתה להתגרש, ואפילו בזמן הזה שיש תקנת רבינו גרשום מאור הגולה, שלא לגרש בעל כורחו, הוכרחו חז"ל להפקיא קידושין בעל כורחו. ואם כן, היה לנו לבטל הקידושין גם אם כפו אותו, אך בכזה לא תיקן רבינו גרשום מאור הגולה, ויכול לגרשה כדין תורה. Okay. So the Takana of Rabbeinu Gershom doesn't allow him to divorce her without her permission. In this case, if he was married, if he was forced to give the kiddushin, then the takana doesn't apply and he can divorce her against her will.
Exactly. This is from the Taz, which is like a pretty huge deen, right? If you force a man into a marriage, then he's actually, in order to keep, right, to keep the system going the way that we feel is appropriate, we're going to let him avoid takanat Rabbeinu Gershom in that case. It's or essentially say Rabbeinu Gershom never made that the takana in such a case. So, all right.
I thought can I just make one comment?
Of course.
It was interesting that he says like in like the second line, aval kisha ansuhu lekadesh v'hi asta shelo kehogen, right? Which is not like, I understand what it's parallel, right, to the sugya that uses that language to describe the man in the opposite case. But it's not obvious that she's the one who did the bad thing, forcing him. I don't know. It could be some third party comes along as
So yeah, I was actually a little shocked.
Murder you in your sleep if you don't do it.
I was shocked about this too, and I was like, because originally I was imagining that it's either some other people are forcing him to marry her, the community, or maybe her parents or his parents or whatever, right?
Well, right, and the sugya supports that reading.
It does, yeah. So
right, because if you want to read the sugya in the smog way, right? Yeah. It's the smog. I make that up. Then
it's the smog. Yeah, so it's
plural. Right, they strung him or her up.
Yeah. So I had a thought about this.
Doesn't mean her. It means they the community, or they the sort of general boogeyman.
So here's because the same thing actually applies the other way, right? You could say, well, wait a second, what if they forced her to marry him and it's not really he's and it was the community. Good.
But when they in the sugya they use that language about bia.
Yes.
About Kiddushay Bia. So I assume that there he does do something bad.
Wait. But it doesn't, I don't know that it has to be that it's him. They don't have to be coming after him because he did something wrong. Whoever it was did something shelo kehogen, and so we do something that's not hogen and uproot it.
Oh, interesting. Well, see.
Right. So even in the sugya when it says hu asa shelo kehogen, it's the person who put him on the tree did that.
Oh, interesting.
Not
for her.
Chatan. I kind of like that reading. That's great. That solves some problem.
It might be better than mine then. I'm going to give you mine anyway, just because why not? And you guys can. I was thinking of it more of, right, when it says that who asa Kiloga Hogan, if they forced her into the marriage, he still has to say Haret Mekudesheli and give her the ring, right? He could have stopped the whole thing from happening, and vice versa. I think actually, if they're forcing him to marry her, she could say, especially now that we know that everyone agrees that if she doesn't, is forced into it, that it doesn't count. She could say no, right? She knows that he's.
I'm not doing it.
And what was that, Sarah?
Well, yeah, she can say, no, I'm not doing this. I'm interested in the possibility where like she is not aware of the full extent of the coercion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very
right.
fair.
So like, obviously if he's like hanging from Masha tree, then that doesn't work. But like,
he likes hanging from trees.
More subtle means of force.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, I think that, probably a lot of relationships, people have reservations at all sorts of, stages and that you don't know about. And so he probably wouldn't, or vice versa, wouldn't tell the other one, I've been forced into this, That's the other thing of like, I think it actually, now that you guys have brought this up, it kind of resets this whole thing of, we kept thinking about like Bia, that it was rape. I think someone brought this up in class, but it could be that he actually thinks what he's doing is right. He doesn't realize someone else has forced her hand, or, it's that there could be outside parties here. And
depends what you think they actually think ones is.
Yeah. So,
because like I can definitely talk about like coercion as, if you marry this guy, then I will pay your family's debts and your, aging relative will like not die in poverty. Like that sounds like coercion to me. Or like, I don't know, whatever other thing. But I'm not sure the rabbis would be like, oh yeah, that's honest. They would be like, that's a gross thing to do.
Well, that's sort of like from the beginning of the Sugya and Baba Batra that says it's always honest, right? No one ever sells.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, there are always many motives, the idea of a relationship that's only about some ethereal, pure love that has nothing to do with anything else about the person, is mythical. It's there's always some other factors like, oh, I really need, the person's money, or it could be something I really need the conversation the person provides. There is some, maybe that is honest, maybe it's not. It's like those are very difficult lines to kind of play with. So yeah, and so maybe you're right, Sarah, maybe that's not honest. It'd be really interesting to see, I didn't look too much into this, to see a bunch of tshuvot in like the modern world, or even not the modern world, throughout time, to see where people deal with cases that could be perceived as honest but maybe are not ruled that way, or vice versa. So all right, with that, do you want to take Seif Gimel?
Sure. וזהו דעת הרמב"ם והעומדים בשיטתו, אבל כמו ברבותינו סביר לן, כשאנסו לאיש לקדש אישה אינה מקודשת מדינה דהם סביר לן גם בקניין שדה, דרק באנסוהו למכור מכירתו מכירה, אבל אנסוהו לקנות שדה אין קניינו קניין. ומה שכתב רבינו הרמה with an aleph, בחלקת מחוקק שם.
I think it's
בחושן
משפט. Yeah, sorry. בחושן משפט שם, ואף על גב דוודאי עדיף לקנות מלמכור. מכל מקום, קניה תמיד הוא מרצון, אבל מכירות שדות, על פי רוב הם באנוס, דאילאו יצטרך לזוזה, לא הווה מוכר. ולכן גם באנסוהו למכור, הווה מכירתו מכירה. Baba Metzia Membe, which is our sugya, yeah.
No, that's Baba Batra, yeah, that is Baba Batra Mem Zayin.
That is our sugya, right? Mem Zayin. Okay. Ve'af dilo dami anus de nafshe la anus de achrine. That's really interesting. The achrina, right? It's like it's different to be like, I'm forced, my hand is forced to do this by some sort of external circumstance. I need the money, as opposed to someone else is coming along and like demanding that I do this.
Yeah, puts a gun to your head. Yeah. So,
what?
Like someone puts a gun to your head and says, sell the field, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. It's interesting because a lot of like contemporary philosophers are not like big on that distinction.
Oh, interesting.
Or think of it as like a bad enlightenment or a distinction that we should like be suspicious of. But it's just interesting to see it articulated in a source that like, whatever, is like not reading modern philosophy.
I have no clue about the Aruch HaShulchan's relationship.
Like, I don't know what it's actually hard to know,
that in the
but it's interesting because it's
I think this next is not
לא
needed.
דע מאונס דנפשי לאונס דאחרין. That's from the Gemara.
Well, that is from the Gemara. You are right. That is
from the Gemara, right? So it's interesting to see that as like, yeah.
So definitely pre-philosophy or their knowledge.
Right, like that distinction is not like whatever. A lot of philosophers talk about that as like invented in the Enlightenment. It's not really true. Okay, fine. I'll stop.
No, it's good. It's good.
Philosophy tidbits. Mikol makom agav anusa gmar umakne bekabalat maot. Aval bekone lo matinu inyan hechrach klal. V'lachen gam kisha'ansuhu lekadesh didami lekinyan gam kim eina mikudeshet midina. וגם זה גרוע מקניין שדה, לקח אישה שהיא נגד רצונו, וכיוון שיש בזה מחלוקת הפוסקים, אם אנסו לאיש לקדש אישה, הווה ספק קידושין. ודע, דגם אונס ממון מקרה אונס. brackets מקנה, אף אם לא אנסוהו בייסורי הגוף. Okay, here we go.
This is it, right? This is the even if you're forcing him with money monetarily, that's
yeah.
You don't have to. You don't.
ואנוס לא מקרה אלא כשאנסוהו על עצם הקידושין, אבל כשאנסוהו בעניין אחר מתוך האנוס האחר נתרצה לקדש, אין זה אנוס כלל. וזהו רצון לגמור כמו שכתב שם סעיף זין, ועיין לקמן, a bunch of places, ואם מסר moda'ato moda'a. So if he's like, no, if you're allowed to kind of like make a contrary legal claim.
Exactly. You can actually bring in witnesses that I didn't want to do this. I'm doing this under duress. Then that actually could work. So yeah, that's really right. So that you actually could have, onus doesn't, it has to be about like being actually literally forced him to do Kedushin, not like, I don't know, someone says, find a way to have this person move into your house or something like that, or to get close to this family, you're like, oh, I better do Kedushin, with her. And
right, or even just like find a way to like, change your financial situation, and then like he's like,
also,
okay,
yeah, it's
great, I found one.
She's got a great.
I'm gonna marry a rich woman, and then like whatever.
Yeah, so good point. And but on the other hand, it doesn't have to be physical, right? Physical force, as he says here, right? It can be
it can be financial or
So, okay, let's see how many. Oh, we got 3 more. We can see if we can do it. All right. So I skipped this to Sivav. He's got an amazing thing with a proof from Sefer Shoftim with the war with Binyamin after the Pilegesh Bagiva to prove he doesn't get into that, to prove that Deoraita, it does work against people's will. It's like a crazy, but I'm leaving that out for the moment. So I just wanted to throw in that he does that. And okay, Sivav. Katav Rabbeinu Harama, Besif Aleph. Amra tchila kadsheni v'zara kiddushin letoch cheka ve'amra ve'amar la hariat mekudeshet li v'niara v'gadeha toch kedei dibor lashlich mimena kiddushin ve'ameret shelo kivna mitchila rak lischok be'alma afilu hachi have mekudeshet. All right, this is the whole case where she initiates, but then she kind of recants at the end, and that doesn't work. All right. Ve'enochin b'inyan kiddushin achar umdanut hochachot hamochichot shelo kivna l'shem kiddushin ad kan lashona. Right, and we don't bring estimations and proofs that what her mindset was. So ve'af agav de b'seif lamed b'siman lamed seif. It doesn't say that. Muvar. But which one it was? Mevar does bezarkat toch kedei dibor lav klumhu dafilu b'dish shidech k'moshe katav sham. Right. So there, toch kedei dibor doesn't do anything. Mikol makom hacha keshamra tchila kachini chashinan shebemet nitratzta keshezarak oto cheka umiad toch kedei dibor chazraba uvekidushin lamahane chazara af toch kedei dibor k'moshe katav b'siman lamed chet sif nun aleph. Milashon Rabbeinu Harama mashma dehave kiddushin vadaim. Ve'af agav shebe'arnu sham v'yesh me'aposkim the sfirlahu the toch kedei dibor hu rak chumra bekiddushin v'im ken lefizeh lo have rak safek kiddushin omnam rabatinu ba'alei shulchan aruch sham besif lamedaled nered the sfirlahu the mikar dina kenhu k'moshe katav sham. Afagav de lo amra kachini bezichata kiddushin mikomakom kevan de lo amra lehedja tain kiddushin leadi ela kachini stam mikudeshet afila bezrika. So But there's a lot to say about this actually, but it's, I mean, one of the main thing here is that is really take away from the Ramah, and everyone brings in this whole issues with Lamed and Lamed Chet, but it's, the main thing is that we assess based on, very obvious facts what her mindset was, and not, and there's this assumption, this time period where she started out saying, I want this, and at some point she changes her mind, but as long as the mind change doesn't happen until after she receives the Kiddushin, the moment after that happens, we kind of are okay with it. Okay. And Tokere Dibor doesn't work in that sense. So, but it could, right, we do see it does work in the sense of if she doesn't, she doesn't initially say, I want you to marry me, right, at any point, right? If he just throws Kiddushin at her and she immediately throws it away, right, that is not Kiddushin, or immediately says, I don't want this. So, okay. Let's go on Sif Zayin. Yavni, you want to take it?
אמנם אי אפשר לומר דכוונתו לקידושין ודאים, דהה בלא זה כיוון.
I think it's Kevan.
דהה בלא זה, כיוון שאומרת שכיוונה לשחוק בעלמא, נהי דאין הולכין בקידושין אחר אומדנות והוכחות. מכל מקום אין זה רק מפני חומר הקידושין, אין זה רק מפני חומר הקידושין?
Yeah, in other words, even though we don't go according to umdot and hochachot, it's only because of the seriousness, I think.
Only because of it, right, okay.
Yeah.
No, אי אפשר לומר דכוונתו לקידושין ודאים. דהה בלא זה, כיוון שאומרת.
You'll see, you got to keep going to get where he's going to get with it.
ואם כן, לפי זה גם בלא טעם חזרה תוך כדי דיבור, אין זה רק ספק קידושין. ואף על גב דמעיקר הדין דברים שבלב אינם דברים, מכל מקום, היכא דמוכחה מילתא שכיוונה לשחוק בעלמא. הווה דברים, דהה בכמה דברים, אז לינן בתר אומדנה, היכא דאומדנה ודאית, כמו שכתוב בחלקת חושן משפט סימן רמ"ו, ובקידושין אפילו האומדנה ודאית, ואנן סהדה שלא כיוונה אלא לשחוק בעלמא, מכל מקום אין הולכין אחר האומדנה, וכן מבואר במקור הדין, תשובות מימוניות, ולכן לא כאמר רבינו הרמה, מטעם הדברים שבלב אינם דברים, אלא מטעם דאין הולכין בקידושין אחר אומדנות, דמשמע להדיא דרק בקידושין אין הולכין, ואי מטעם דברים שבלב, והלא בכל מילי קיימלן דברים שבלב, והלא בכל מילי קיימלן דברים שבלב אינם דברים, אלא ודאי אפילו במקום שבשארי דברים הולכים אחר האומדנה בקידושין אין הולכים, וזהו ודאי רק מפני חומר אשת איש, כמו שכתבנו, ואם כן, אינו אלא ספק קידושין.
Great. This is his whole way of getting at, right? Even without the whole thing of her throwing it away, right? When she says that I intended to joke around, that actually for most things, if we could prove that that's really what she did, we actually would follow the umdana, if you can find an umdana vadait. And Kiddushin as well, right? Sorry, I'm just going to summarize it for you, if that's right. Kiddushin as well, ideally, yeah, we would say that actually isn't Kiddushin. However, because of the worry of Eshet Ish, we say it's Safek Kiddushin. And so that's really what the Ramah, if it weren't for her for everything else, that's what we would mean, is it's Safek Kiddushin. And it's really just the Chumrah of Eshet Ish that we're really concerned with here. So, but you can skip the piece. I don't remember what the Noda Yehuda had to say here, but it was it was something. But and let's Sarah take the next Sif.
Okay. ועל כל זה נראה לעניות דעתי, מדלא כתב רבינו הרמה, דהווה ספק קידושין, או חוששין להקידושין, אלא סתם מקודשת, משמע דגם בכי הגבנה הווה אומדנה דמוחה חווה, גם כן קידושין ודאין, ולשון זה שכתב דאין הולכים בקידושין אחר אומדנות או הוכחות, אינו מפני חומרה בלבד, שהרי גם לכולה כתב לשון זה בסעיף ד' עין שם. אלא מעיקר הדין, כן הוא בגיטין וקידושין, שאין הולכין בהם אחר אומדנה, אפילו באומדנה דמוחה הרבה, בין לכולה, בין לחומרה, דבגיטין וקידושין אין הולכין רק אחר המעשה הגלוי, ולא אחרי המחשבות. אף אם ידענו בבירור שהמחשבה היא להפך מהמעשה. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he flips it now. He says, no, the Ramah says it's vadai. He never says safek kiddushin. He never says yes chashash kiddushin. He just says kiddushin, right? Or and so therefore there must be like a general rule of kiddushin for. He doesn't say why, but that we can only go with the externally visible information. The reason I actually kind of like to end with this was because it this leads right into Adim. Right. It's only right. The Adim, we're going to see, you can't just be like the aides were like, well, I saw that he had the ring and then she had the ring. And I heard the words. They actually have to see the maaseh happen and the transfer happen. And they don't go according to estimates either. And then for some reason, and maybe I was going to open it for the last few minutes, so I'm not sure why yet, but like for Kiddushin and Gerushin, not because they're of Eshetish or anything like that, but for some reason, there's like a rule that things have to like, everything has to be external. So
Seif Ched is undoing Seif Zayin?
Yes, it is. Okay. It's undoing Seif Zayin. This is very right, Aruch HaShulchan, where he's like, well, you could say this, this, and this, but now I'm going to give you the next piece and undo what I just said. So yeah, I think this may go into a little bit of the whole thing that the Adim here are not to like. The fact you need Adim, and the Adim are not just to like in case someone says that's not what happened. The Adim are there to actually make the thing happen, right? It's and for Adim to have Adim like that, what you need then is actually an external activity that they can see with their eyes, and not just what they can surmise. Surmising is like what shows in a court case, but actually to make something happen, you have to have actually the witnessing it actually, the measuring actually does it in this case, and so. Yes. But,
the measuring, is that a quantum mechanics reference? Yeah,
not in the quantum mechanics way. I mean, it kind of is, but yes. Actually, I guess it kind of is, right? Because you don't have momentum until you measure the momentum if you're in a space, if you're in position space. So and then you undo the position. So and vice versa. Sorry, that's it's been a while. But that is how quantum mechanics works, right? If something doesn't actually have that, it has a probability of what the quantity is, but it doesn't actually have the quantity until you measure it. And same thing, I guess, Kiddushin doesn't actually happen until the people see it in a particular way. Certain types of people see it in a particular type of way, and then it takes effect. So, yeah, good. Did that quantum mechanic, was that lost on everybody? I don't know if that's. So you studied physics, right? Oh yeah, you get that. So did you use DJ Griffiths as your book for that? Yeah. Okay. So I just want to fill Sarah in on this. DJ Griffiths. We'll keep this on the recording too. This would be great. This is DJ Griffiths. I think he's somewhere in Oregon, Reed College, something like that. He wrote a bunch of undergraduate physics textbooks, and I think his quantum mechanics one was his first one. And on the front of it is a live cat, and on the back of it is a dead cat. I don't know about Yavi, what your experience was, but there were a lot of students when I was undergrad who were like, why is there a sleeping cat on the back of this textbook? And then some professor or some student was like, that cat's not sleeping. So it was, yeah, it is a good textbook though, or at least I thought it was when I was an undergrad. So, okay, that's all I've got for today. So
cool. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot. And this is also like the Choshen Mishpat, right? It's like, I'll tell one quick story. Sorry, now I'm not gonna let you go. When I was in high school, I was learning Kiddushin, like the Masechet with Rav Yitzchak Etshalom, and I was an obnoxious 17-year-old, like, and I brought up the point that obnoxious 17-year-olds bring up, and it's like, well, you can do Kiddushin with Bia, you can do Kiddushin with a Shaliach. So can you combine those two? And he both got mad at me and he answered me. He's like, Joel, I know you're just trying to bother me, but he's like, yeah, like, the interaction between, normal Mekach and Memkar and Kiddushin can only extend so far, because at the end of the day, we're actually talking about a relationship between people, and, it can't fully overlap. And I think that's a little bit of what, Afkinhu Rabbanan is about there. So, yeah. All right. Tov, good Shabbos, everybody. And,
Good Shabbos.